As a low-income food deficit country, one of the two main drivers of Gambia's economic growth is agriculture. That's why North Bank Farmers Association was set up to amplify the voice and represent the interests of farmers and other agriculturalists across the country. Through its Eat What You Grow and Grow What You Eat program, the association strives to meet a growing demand for local food by helping its members to raise production efficiently. North Bank Farmers Association offers series of trainings such as practical farms record keeping and agronomics training for its members, especially the women farmers who suffer the most in getting enough to meet their basic food needs. These trainings are aimed at empowering them to improve food security and the economic status of their families. North Bank Farmers Association also supports Gambian women gardeners in the villages to fence their gardens by providing funds for fencing materials such as galvanized wires and fencing poles. This is to help boost their household food, nutrition, and income security. Among the strategic objectives of North Bank Farmers Association is to provide support and funding to build 6 cold storage facilities across the 6 regions of the Gambia and help local women and small-scale holder farmers access good markets to sell their products and services locally and through exportation to neighboring countries and the EU markets. North Bank Farmers Association is also very much into animal husbandry, fish farming and poultry, geared towards engaging the youth as an alternative to the perilous backway journey to Europe. North Bank Farmers Association, proudly supported by the Gambia Inclusive and Resilient Agricultural Value Chain Development Project GIRAV through Regional Director John Mendy. North Bank Farmers Association, a responsible grassroots model addressing the need for skills in modern agriculture, employment, increase in agricultural productivity, and food security. If you are thinking of a bank that takes care of customers' needs by providing quality services with flexibility, reliability, and innovation, think Trust Bank Limited. With Trust Bank Limited mobile banking, you enjoy services such as balance inquiry, mini statement, funds transfer between accounts, exchange rates, mobile airtime top-up, stop ATM card, checkbook request, and PIN change. Our real-time gross settlement allows the customer to instruct the bank to transfer funds from their account to another account at another bank. Our expertise and experience in international banking is both legendary and the envy of the market. Retail banking, one bank, different amazing packages. Whether you are interested in savings account, current account, time or fixed deposit account, lending or overdraft, our team of dedicated staff is always ready and willing to help you out with your transactions as you wish. Corporate banking. Trust Bank Limited offer the most convenient services for deposit accounts, credit facilities, trade finance, bond and guarantee, and foreign currency account. With e-banking, you can make electronic bill payments and online banking and enjoy 24-hour access to your cash with our ATM. With the largest network of branches and agents, we give you the convenience to receive funds as you please. Trust Bank Limited, proudly Gambian.
fay lempo warugal la si képp koo xam ne doomi réew mi nga ak ñu fi dëkk bu fekkee ne ci at mi sa koom-koom weesu na $24,000 dalasi mbete weer bu nekk di nga am lu tollu si $2,000 dalasi lempo si la nguur gi di sukkandeku ngir liggéey yokkute réew mi GRA mooy banxaas bu nguuri Gambia sas ngir mu fayeku lépp luy lempo ci biir réew mi ba tax na GRA di yëgal faykati lempo yi ne warugal la pour ñu fay lu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment maanaam maanaam bépp contract bu waay joxe te si biir réew mi la ñu toog kon xaalis si contract bi ngeen nangutoo war nga cee wàññi ci xayma téeméer bu nekk fukka bu fekkee ne contracto bi dëkkut ci biir réew mi bu boobaa di nga war a wàññi téeméer bu nekk fukka ak juróom lii mooy lempo bu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment lii mooy lempo bi nga xam ne yow mi joxe contract warugal la nga wëlbatiku dem fay ko ci maakaani GRA tax office bu la gën a jege mbete ci banque yi GRA jagleel pour fay lempo war ngaa jébal lempo bi si diiri fukki fan ak juróom gannaaw bi nga wàññee ci xaalis si contract bi amul benn contracto bu ñu teggil fay lempo bi xanaa mu fekk ne nguuri Gambia ñoo ko jégale boole si projet yi nga xam ne mbootaay ndimbali ñoo koy dépense GRA di fayeku lempo ngir yokk.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high-quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities, all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yaibara.
This is a Kerr Fatou.
Hello and welcome to another edition of our show, Kerr Fatou. Today again we're here talking about national issues and of course Esa, welcome to the show. Thank you. Actually we were supposed to have a government official here. Sankano was supposed to come, but he sent me a text just 15 minutes ago to say he's stuck in the office and he's not able to make it, so that's why Oli's not here. But it's her birthday tomorrow. We want to wish you a happy birthday, Oli Dilanyana. It's her birthday, so happy birthday in advance. We're not doing a show tomorrow. Happy birthday in advance. And Nyang Jai again in the building. Nyang Jai, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, good evening, and thank you.
You know, Sunyo Banjul Project, for you Indila.
Well, Banjul Project, it's something that I think any and every Gambian should be concerned about.
Yeah.
And the red flags it has raised,
yeah,
and the remedy or course of action we want the government to take. One is to make sure we have a proper procurement bill to make sure that something like what happened in Banjul won't reoccur. Why? We are a small, poor country. And if we have limited resources, we need to optimize the use of our resources. And one thing we have seen, I don't think any sensible Gambian will be happy with the way our public finances have been spent as it relates to the project in Banjul. No, why danga wax lo xamne daf ma ñor te sumay nelaw te li ma wax legi waaw amna lu olof de wax waxon nako mo gën xamon nako te ñenenti at ci gannaaw ñu ngi wax ci wax gi te li tax ñuy ci wax li doon xew dafa ñaaw waaw lan moo tax mu ñaaw Banjul deserve better, Gambians deserve better, the taxpayers deserve better. And loolu taxoon mu ñor ñu waaw waaye nag maa ngi nuyoo jërëjëf
yang honorable Emel Ba ñu welcome la to the show.
Thank you very much Madam Touré di jaajëfee suma naataango yu nekk si plateforme bi di nuyu askani Banjul more specifically Banjul North te tamit bugg a seize opportunity bi rek pour masaw képp koo xam ne you are affected as far as this flash flood who recently happened in the city of Banjul. Di leen a masaw bu baax di leen a wax ne nag ne tey ñëw naa fii si plateforme bu important bi pour waxtaan askan bi.
And I want to congratulate you. I think this is the first time we're sitting on the platform since your election. We worked before as when we were at BCC. We want to congratulate you. We just hope that you will raise the issues of the people of Banjul not in the House. We want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
And first, we want to look at the flooding in Banjul. First, before we go, I want to thank Musa Njai. You know, this is a Gambian brand, Jufure. If you can see, it's written here, Jufure. It's a Gambian migrant who traveled, and he's in Sweden, and he has his own brand now. It's very comfortable, and you know, Limbe one all the time is Gambian things. You see ancestors, things that are remarkable to African culture. So you see ancestor, you see wealth. I don't know why he gave me wealth. Is it because of Mugama Amhalis? Musa, thank you for the prayers, right? I want to be wealthy.
He knows that you're rich.
I want to be wealthy. Thank you, Musa. But we want to thank Musa for this. It's a very comfortable brand, t-shirt, but it's heavy, it's nice. So we want to thank him for the gift. So today I'm rocking the Jufure brand. But today we want to look at the flooding across the country, but more specifically Banjul. The reason why we are focusing on Banjul is because we know that the landscape in everywhere is crazy. Yesterday the Minister of Land was going around the country. He had so many concerns about what was happening. People building on waterways. Sometimes they don't even have physical planning permit to build. He talked about the Bond Road, where he specifically called out companies who are building on the Bond Road. He said he's going to investigate those companies. He also said they're going to demolish any building that is on the waterway. Now, this is a very, very serious issue. Have you seen the minister's talk, or have you read about it?
Yeah, I followed it yesterday. He was out as usual, like any other minister, because I think since the appointment of the new cabinet ministers, what we have seen, the new style of the borough ministers are always on call for the organization. And the minister of land is equally the same, to go and see for himself, according to reports, to gather first-hand information about the flood situation, especially those that built or constructed their houses on waterways and all that. And that was what he was out there to see. But then later in the reports, I also saw that he said those buildings built by individuals and of course companies will have to be demolished at the end of the day. But I think also there are procedures for all that. I'm not sure, what are the legal procedures to all that, but I'm quite sure that there must be procedures that the ministry or the government has to follow in order to demolish those buildings. But it all, boils down to the issue of a lack of proper management. I think Njai talked about that here last week. You know, a proper planning, a master planning that we need as a country. Because these things are happening in other places. But then if you look at the so-called new settlements in this country, like I said last week, if you go to Jabang, if you go to Jambu, if you go to other places that everybody is saying, these are new settlements, you know, they're attracting people. It's the same thing that is happening there. We are not seeing people are settling probably on waterways. We are not seeing a proper planning where one can say, well, you know, even if there should be heavy rain years to come or so, I mean, we wouldn't have flooding in this area. So what is happening? What happened in Banjul and, you know, the greater Banjul area, some communities is something that is very unfortunate. But I think also if we're not careful as a country, and the way we are settling in these so-called new settlements, I think the same thing could be repeated. But I think it is important for all stakeholders to look at this issue holistically, and of course look at it within the context of urban development. Like Nyang said, we need proper urban design, urban planning in this country. People cannot just settle like that. But you know what is sad about the whole thing is I'm not seeing any sustainable concrete efforts from the side of the government. All that we saw in Banjul recently is, you know, the government providing, you know, water, tanks or whatever, machines that will come and then pull out this water, pump this water out. And I think the guy responsible, I saw him talking to the president, telling him that we need more machines here to be able to do the job, because if there is no rain in the coming days, then we will need more machines. But if there is no rain, then we will need more machines to do the job. And I think I saw on the news either yesterday or today that the ministry or the government has provided new machines to help in pumping the water there. But you know, the Honorable is here. It's his constituency that is affected. I think we'll be able to learn more about the flood situation. But for me, what is important also is about the rehabilitation road project itself, because it is, you know, the failure of that project is, you know, partly what led to this whole crisis. So I think it is important for us to also look at, you know, the contract, the road rehabilitation project itself. You know, how the contract was awarded, you know, who's responsible, what are the challenges, what are the failures that were registered there, and how to avoid this in the future.
So before we proceed, I want to, Charles, can you please check your mic? I'm getting a lot of notification, people talking about the mics not being correct. Can you make sure waxtaan bi am na solo lool ama buga mic yi regle, Honorable Balamonyo. If you're just joining us, you can send us stars. That way you're helping this network in all the productions that we do. Sending us stars always empowers us. So Charles, are we good to go? Honorable, Legi, what I wanted to check first is Banjul. I want to make this thing though, the Minister of Lands. For me, I think I've seen Kohamne dafa wax lim gom. You know, for the minister to say people that have been awarded land in that department, he's going to investigate it. There was another minister, and that is his colleague minister. If he's investigating who allocated, he's investigating his own colleague. So for him to even say that boldly, that says a lot. And also saying they're going to investigate how those people even got to build there. That I think, I mean, unless we don't see them do it, but if they do it, I think that's a good step first. Now tell us, why do you think Banjul, especially your area, Banjul North, is this affected?
Okay, thank you very much, madam, once again. Lolu sama ko laaje dina si muna wax lu bari parce que looking at the entire situation is like so many factors contributed towards what is really been experienced by the people of Banjul, more particularly Banjul North. Looking at the situation right now, it's like we are experiencing something lo hamne musin ko experience, and it was not something that we were expecting. Te lena happen na come numako wahe like so many factors contributed. So many factors contributed. I mean infrastructure wise. Lafa affect the drainage system of Banjul. Parce que man comme numa le ware man duma expert. There are offices or institutions that are responsible for the infrastructure of the city. Te wannen ko defe comme ko wara defe. Even the niti. Man for the first time man realize ne even some of these borom kër duñ lee toppatoo seen kër yi. All what they do is they come and collect rent and go back to where they live in the combos. Li mu nekk loo xam ne tamit la fa over important. Why at the same time I will go back to the government and say ne su fekkee ne place den la ko jox pour nga ron ko. Sa kemtulay kattan da nga ko war a def comme noo ko war a defee. Parce que at the end of the day xaalis buñ laa fay mooy lu keneen ak keneen di fay as tax si réew mi. So yow da nga war a seet sa diggante yàlla ne office bi man si ko am waaye waruma nekk si biir office bi pour toog si office bi rek taal suma AC. te lii man nu laa ko jàngatee parce que su fekkoon ne a proper work was done and a proper planning was in place. ñun waa Banjul more specifically Banjul North will not suffer from this flash flood. Comme nu ma ko lay waxee gars yi rek situation bi would have been avoided su fekkee ne Banjul was properly planned infrastructure wise. The experience nen tamit ne currently comme nuñ ko lay waxee the most talk about Banjul rehabilitation project. In 2019 yàlla def na ne I was working with the city council. I know exactly what was going on. I was also very surprised when I saw the recent audit report. The one and the contract was signed in May. Why man lu ma fekkee mooy the contract was launched or the project rather was launched in February 2019. So are they trying to tell me there is what is called
danger project be sign
comme bu ñoo follow due process daanaka the ministry then ba pare taxi tamit are they trying to tell me that they are here to encourage poor governance because at the end of the day man gisuma sax ban njëriñ la moo am si doomi aadama yi su fekkee ne yaa ngi leen a defal loo xam ne laf leen a lor parce que tey kenn foogul ne ñu nekk si display center buñ amee Banjul ne dinañ musa nekk si display center more especially in Banjul lii musuta nekk xalaati kenn parce que loolu luñ expect from everyone even myself man if I am to represent the people of Banjul North at the parliament I am there to make sure that I represent them better by addressing their needs and their concerns parce que loolu tam ma nekk fa. So the same thing applies to other authorities, more especially when it comes to central government. Because su fekkee ne ngeen is a project. boo xam ne project B is to rehabilitate the city. Is to facelift the city. Our expectation was to see the city of Banjul was better planned and also taken to another level. But notwithstanding, gis nañ ne lii ñëw na comme nu ma ko lay waxee dañ nekk right now si jamono boo xam ne wala dañ nekk si time boo xam ne dañ war a ñëw together ñu make sure ne ñu remedy the situation parce que foofu leen toll even bala président bi ñëwee fekk ñu ñun youth si Tabakoroti because there is this organization that was newly formed called the Tabakoro Youth Disaster Management Committee ñoom si njiitali daanaka kilifa yoo xam ne ñoo nekk si gox bi ñoo ñëw si benn waay mu providal leen about 10 pumping machines waaye bëggut ñu mention turam si dara si biir loolu ba la demee pour def exercise bi Bond Road si la ñu président bi ñëw fekk foofu because ñun xamuñ woon ne sax de président bi was coming man especially particularly mi
waaw dina ñëw si boobu because loolu am na solo because tey dañ bugg a follow the trail Banjul Project bi because to be honest nag waa Banjul nag président Barrow daf leen jël xool réew mi yëpp mu ne Banjul la moo dooree pour defar ko an am si yéene bu rafet nag dama bëgg ñu seetaan interview bi nga xam ne balaa maa ñëw si ñang président def na ko some years ago ak Aliou Cissé of QTV mu ngi explain bu contracteur bi ñuy wax ko li mu bëgg a def he was amazed because loolu la bëggoon dafa bëgg a defar Banjul Charles su paree rek ñu seetaan loolu suñ ko seetaanee ba pare tam si kanam di leen seetaan membre ministre bi bu mu waxee ak Moustapha Konté mu ngi how the contract Moustapha Dabo waaye léegi Charles mi njëkk a seetaan président Barrow bi mu waxtaanee ak Aliou Cissé si Banjul Project bi idea bi naka la ñëwee nañ seetaan loolu Charles soo paree.
Let's now look at the issue of the Banjul Project. I mean, in 2018, if I'm right, your government launched that major roads rehabilitation in Banjul. I mean, but there were questions as to why there was no open bidding for this project, which was awarded to Gay Construction.
You know, open bidding and single sourcing, they are all legal, depending on how you do it. Banjul Project, we wanted to do the Banjul Project, but we are not having money at all to do the Banjul Project, to be honest with you. And we are very ambitious. We wanted to do it. A Gambian contractor came up with the idea of pre-financing. That is Hadim Guy. I will thank him again for the support he gave us. He came with pre-financing. And when he came to my office, what he told me, it was too good to believe. I will pre-finance and I accept you to pay me in dollars and you will not give me guarantee. Who will do that for you in this world? No guarantee, no sovereign guarantee. You pay me in dollars and I pre-finance. I do it in 5 years, you pay me in 10 years. This was too good to believe. When he told me that I had it, you have to be very, very serious. Do you think you can do this? You have the capacity to do that? He said, yes, he can do it. I said, no. I don't think you can do it. He said he can do it. I called my technicians. Ministry of Works, how to call it, Finance, and others. Secretary General, just sit down with this man. Let's listen to him. The idea might be crazy, or you might think it's too good, he cannot do it. Maybe. So we had a discussion with him, and we see that this man is very serious. He said he's ready, he wants to do it. This is where we enter into that process. But I think he has proven himself beyond any reasonable doubt. And I think every reasonable Gambian knows very well that this is a very important project. It's a very, very good project.
Indeed, like you said, it's a very important project. But do you think the process was rightly done?
It was right. That's what I'm telling you. Whether it is tender, it's single source, the law accepts all these things. The process that was done was correct. It was legal. Because our Ministry of Justice, look at it. We don't do things that Ministry of Justice won't look at. Every small thing, it have to go to the Justice Ministry. Every small agreement, every small thing. And it passed through those processes all. Today now our partners are working with us in the Banjul Project. First time they said no. But later they accepted.
Why?
Huh? We were able to convince them that it is justifiable. Gambia needs this project. And the process was legal. And what we were offered was too good to say no. In governance, people will be talking. But I know the project is a good project. And the project make a big impact in the life of the Banjulians. And it has changed the image of the Banjul, the Gambia itself. When the Germans came recently, when they came to visit me, they said, we have visited many capitals. But when we came to a capital, it's very nice. You see, it's very, very nice. Because they have seen independent drive. But if it was the first time, they say, I don't think these people are serious. So you see.
Thank you very much. Nyang, I wanted to bring a background as to how the project was conceived. The president said he was concerned with the outlook of Banjul, and they wanted to make sure they make Banjul one of the best cities in the world. And he said today, that statement, the president said today, the project is very, very good. It has changed the outlook of Banjul. Did the project really change the outlook of Banjul?
Fatou, I'll first make a disclaimer that Nyang Jai is a big critic of the president. But I do believe the president is a victim in this whole arrangement. Why? Context is very important. The president came to power. Mm-hmm. He had great dreams and aspirations for Gambia. And looking at Banjul, Yaya Jammeh neglected Banjul. Not a bag of cement has been spent in Banjul for over 22 years, and that's why the infrastructure in Banjul became derelict. The president grew up in Banjul and knew the Banjul of yesteryears and the Banjul he inherited. So he meant well. That I will give it to him. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is the president came to power. He doesn't understand public finances. He doesn't understand procurement, and he doesn't understand how the public administration works. Therefore, he should have been well guided by the team that he has. Be it the Secretary General, be it the Minister of Finance, be it the Minister of Works. So now, putting that context, if any economic operator in or outside of the Gambia has a proposal that I want to do roads for you, just like the President said, I'm going to pre-finance. What pre-finance means is I'm going to pay. I'll put a grace period. The grace period, you start paying. We know that that's not true, and it didn't happen. The President said it will be paid in dollars, not dollars. And yes, if it were to be paid in dollars, we would have been better off, because what you call difference in exchange, our exposure to the volatility of the dollar vis-a-vis the dollar, would not have been an issue. The President didn't know that everything on that contract was tax-free and duty-free. So it means if the contract is $40 million, for example, that's the direct cost to the state. The indirect cost is the opportunity cost of the taxes we have waived, be it corporate and duty. So if you look at a project with a magnitude of 40 million, you waive taxes for duties, items that are bought, gas, oil, basalt, steel, you name it, plus the income that was generated out of it. Talking about another $3 to $4 million. So if you adjust the project, it's going to be more than what it is on paper, because what we forego as a state should be added as a cost. These are some of the things that have affected us, but unfortunately, no one that was close to the President showed the President the implications. That's number one. Number two, if people bring you a proposal, the proposal should come with designs and study. What do I mean by design and study? Whoever said I'm going to rehabilitate the roads and sewers in Banjul must have done a pre-feasibility study to say that X road is not good, the base of the road is not good, this road needs resurfacing, these drains, they're just completely bad, I need to put new ones, these drains, they're cracked, I can fix it, they need slab covers. So there should be a document to show a comprehensive ailment. What is the problem with the infrastructure? Then that will guide how much it's going to cost. Then the next thing, before anything starts, government to look at the cost that has been given to them. Now, the cost that has been given to you, how can you justify that it is reasonable or it is overpriced? You need a benchmark. The benchmark is either you do your own independent study to see that what he tells you that are the problem of your infrastructure are true, and these are the costs associated with it. Or you open a competitive bidding for people who want to do an EPC just like what has been given to you. Then that way, you are saving the taxpayer, you're giving the Gambian value for their money. And that's why I say that I cannot blame the President on this. I'm a big critic of the President, but in America, they would have said the President has been taken to the cleaners. Yes, our President has been taken to the cleaners by his workers. He was new. Then, no experience in governance, period. Because if he had experience in governance, he would not have wanted to meet one-on-one with the contractor at that time.
I mean, that's where I was going to come to. I was going to come to that, because for a businessman, a contractor to come to the President and tell him, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this project for you, I'm going to pre-finance it, I'm going to, all the juicy things, it's going to take 10 years. I mean, this is a president who wants to fix Banjul. And, you know, presidents are politicians, they want to put records where they can always come and tell Banjulians, man, mal and sampal sen road. You know, he was going to just jump into that opportunity.
Yeah, but that's why, Fatou, I cry in my heart about this particular project. And like I said, our president has been taken to the cleaners by the people who should have guided him. A new person in public administration, a new person in government. I swear to God, I know and I feel that the president meant well to deliver a first-class project for Banjul. But some people saw it as an opportunity. Yeah. And the opportunity was not to develop Banjul, but to exploit their personal interests in this particular scheme. And I call it a scheme. Why am I calling it a scheme? If you go through the auditor's report, nowhere will a local contract be given tax concession. Yep. The reason why international contractors are giving tax concession, it's not because they're international company. Most of the time, these contracts are funded by multilateral international funds. And international funds don't pay taxes. Monies from the World Bank will not attract taxes. Yeah. Because people who are giving you money to do work, they will not pay taxes for you. That's the responsibility of government. And that's why those contracts don't attract taxes and don't attract duty on imported items. But now we have given a contract to a local individual. The local individual don't have international exposures because he is spending in dollars. But now we have given him a dollar contract. Then it means the hedging is now on government. This contract, when it started, the dollar was about 48.25. Today, if there are payments owed to him, the official rate is 55, almost. Black market 57, 58. Yeah. So the difference in exchange from when the project started to his last payment may end up having a $10 spread. $10 spread over the amount of money owed to him, it's a lot. So what has happened? Failure. Where is the failure? Governance. Why did that happen? Because accountability. No. Yes, the technical experts.
Technical experts. Technical experts.
Yes.
I want to come there because I remember, because this story, the Banjul Project, the first person who broke this investigative report was Mustafa Dabo when he was with Kerr Fatou. And I remember how crazy at that time it was. You know, he always stood by his story and said, look, this is it. And in fact, before coming to this show, I think I spoke to him 2 days ago, the initial budget for this contract was 35 million. At this point, it has gone up to almost 40 million in just what?
35.7 million.
Yeah, yes, but now it's almost 40 million. So what you are talking about, all the add-ons are coming in right now, and the project is not even done, right? Now, but what I wanted to say, at that point, when Mustafa interviewed Bai Lamin Job, Bai Lamin was adamant. Mustafa put it out that Hadim had never done any contract this magnitude, number one. In fact, Guy Construction was incorporated few months before this contract. Number two, Mustafa put it out to him, did you see his bank balances or even the share capital of that company? He was not concerned about that. What he said was, in fact, his own was, I am the best in this business. And I know, I have been working with Gumworks and others. And I know people in this industry. If I tell you Hadim can do this, he can do it. He said that. So I think that's the video I just want to bring up, because he was the technical guy. He was the one who was sitting in cabinet to advise government.
Fatou, no one should blame the contractor.
No, I'm not.
The contractor is not our problem.
No.
Our problem is our principals.
Yeah.
The people we entrust with power, responsibility to make sure that the limited, scarce resources that we owned as Gambia is not only diligently spent, but optimally spent to make sure we get value for money. The contractor wanted something. It's not his responsibility to create rules of the game. It's the responsibility of the contracting, the employer. The government of the Gambia is the employer. We should have. Now, there is no retention for guarantee, meaning a contract has been given. There is nothing that we're going to withhold. Say, in the next 2 years, the amount of money we withhold will take care of the maintenance of these roads after you finish. Not $1. That is criminal, if you ask me, because you should always have a retention amount. You see, these contracts, and the former Minister of Works should know better, we already have a parameter that we use called FIDIC, F-I-D-I-C, Federal Independent whatever of Contractors. FIDIC, I mean, they have volumes and volumes. It gives you guidelines. If you want to do an EPC, here are the steps you follow. So the FIDIC rules are internationally used anywhere you go in the world. These are global best practices. So So it's not about how I want to do it, or how Mr. Jai wants to do it, or how Mr. X wants to do it. It's best practice. What is the best practice? Yeah. And here, Gambia dafa wacha andam chi topa lan moy international best practice for EPC contracts. Forget about the competitive bidding. After the competitive bidding, there should have been a portion of the money that is retained, should in case we have issues after the work has been handed over.
So I will come to all of that, all the people that are responsible. Yes, government is, but the National Assembly also. Now let's look at what Mr. Lamin said at that time when there was, a conversation about when Mustafa broke that investigative report. Charles, let's look at Mustafa Dabo and Lamin's interview, please.
The highest number of, the amount of monies that contracts have seen, the magnitude, they are in 27 millions, in 30s. But there is none close to even 200 million. This is 1.8 billion.
This is where the whole problem is with the perception of this contract. And EPC, the contract that you sign, the money that is mentioned there is just a budget. It's not as if we are going to give you this money. This money can only be dispensed of towards the project of things that you've completed. If it's about $100, that's what you get from that budget. In other words, that $1 billion you are saying, or $1 billion you are saying, is not something that we are giving to Guy. This is the budget for the project to rehabilitate Banjul. And so far, he's the one who has volunteered to pre-finance.
According to the contract minister, Guy will pre-finance.
Pre-finance.
And then you pay.
Yes, right? We pay. And
so you are giving him the money after he spent his own money.
After he spent his money on something that our consultant says he has done.
So what do you say?
So are you worried about the quantity of money that goes to Guy? Is that the issue here?
The taxpayers maybe?
No, but the work, we are more interested in fixing Banjul. And fixing Banjul, that's what it's going to cost. Guy just happens to be a player in it, but it's not for him.
Thank you very much. I think, Nyang, I got the wrong video, but still, he was still talking about the money that we were talking about. He said the money can only be dispensed of as to what is delivered. I don't know, I'm not familiar, but I do know there are things, for example, the mayor had him about the 2 million that was budgeted for in the contract for pumps, and had him said he prioritized other things. But again, I think pumps should be the most priority, because look at what is happening in Banjul today. So I don't even know how.
But we had a problem there first. You see, the project didn't start on the right footing. The city of Banjul is part of territorial Gambia, but the city of Banjul is part of the Banjul City Council.
Yeah.
And local authority that is responsible for all roads in Banjul is Banjul City Council, because the roads are not national roads. They're local roads. Yeah. The only national road coming to Banjul is Bond Road and all the way to the Arch. That's the Banjul-Serekunda Highway. So the moment you step at the Arch, everything else is under the purview of Banjul City Council. Therefore, the beneficiary is Banjul City Council. The national government decided to rehabilitate Banjul because Banjul is our national capital. But in as much as Banjul is our national capital, the custodian of Banjul is not the president nor the central government, but the mayor of Banjul. So the mayor of Banjul was hived off the project. They didn't have much to say or do as a council. And from what I'm hearing, there is a component in the project for sustainability post-project, and that is to make sure they have cleansing vehicles and materials and other things to make sure that the streets are clean, the gutters are clean, the drainages are clean, and everything else. And that's why the mayor should have worked hand in glove with the executing authority of this project. So everything about this project is a faux pas. And why, we should now ask as Gambians, why is it that the people in the central government were elbowing out people who are beneficiaries of this project, Banjul City Council. Something must have been fishy and something must have been smelly. But I think we need to get to the bottom of this, and the president must also encourage the institutions of state, the Inspector General of Police and others to investigate, and also the parliament should do a thorough investigation to make sure that we get to the bottom of this, because this is poor people's money and our money should be spent wisely and effectively.
I mean, I just want to start, I mean, let's go memory lane. 2016, when President Barrow was coming, he said to Gambians clearly that he has never been in government, he does not have an experience, and all that note. Therefore, he was fully relying on the experienced politicians around him. And those were the politicians that guided him. Now, I'm coming, I'm starting before the election.
Okay.
Even during campaign, in rallies, Barrow will say, I do not have the experience, therefore I am relying on these experienced politicians, the Halifas, the OJs, and all those people that were around him. So those were the people who guided him and the coalition to victory. Coming into governance, he again made it very clear that he has no experience. Therefore, he had to rely on the expertise of those technicians and the experts in government. And those are the people that we expect to guide him. When I watched the interview with Aliu just right now, I felt very bad, and I felt sad that as a Gambian, we have a leader in the 21st century who is talking in such a manner when it comes to the award of a contract that has to do with the rehabilitation of an entire capital city. In the first place, like Nyang said, why are you even meeting face-to-face with the contractor, with this guy, before even awarding the contract? Why meeting that individual in that place? And then the president said, the guy promised him that I'll pre-finance, but it's even going to be in Dallas. When this project document, I think clause 24, is telling us that the payments shall be made in the United States dollars, then why would the contractor come and say, I will charge, or you can pay me in Dallas? That's one thing. But the other thing also is that the president said, in the interview, he said even the partners did not want this project. You see, when Barrow is talking, Barrow, I think he understands the mindset of Gambians. How he can play with the mindset of Gambians to tell them that, look, I am serious with this Banjul project. Even our partners don't want this to happen, but I had to insist that it must happen because I am interested in the development of Banjul. This is how this man is thinking, and he understands the psyche of Gambians a lot. Now, it's not that the Barrow felt, I think, I just have to say this. The man was just being economical with the truth with regards to the advice from the World Bank, or why the World Bank and the IMF, the partners, were insisting, on the way he wanted this project to go. There were three pieces of advice that the World Bank and the IMF gave to the government regarding this Banjul project. And the president never said that. All that he said was that our partners did not want this project, but I had to insist. The first advice was, they said, tighten or strengthen the legal framework, regarding the award of contract and the selection process and all that. That was what the World Bank advised, because the executive has the powers to overrule some of the procedures, or the procedures leading to the award of a contract, which according to the World Bank and the IMF is against standard procurement rules. The second advice that they gave was that they wanted the government to help improve the issue of award, tendering process in the country, procurement process, by making sure that they empower the newly created Gambia Strategic Review Board. That was the second advice that they gave the government. So all these advice were given to the government, but not necessarily that they told the government that we did not want this project to go. Okay? But like I said, we have a government that is always economical with the truth, in being transparent to the Gambian people regarding this whole stuff. I mean, the Hadim Gay man that you talked about, Honorable mentioned that the National Audit Report said the contract was signed in May 2019. That is not only the National Audit Report, but even the fact check being done by Malagan indicates that the project was signed in May 2019, But it was launched, like he said, in February 2019. Meaning you launched the project even before it was signed. Then there was a problem with the tendering process. Everything regarding the tendering process was completely wrong. And the government was not transparent with the people to tell them exactly this was what happened. So I think this is where the problem started. But like I said, the president talking, it tells you that this man does not even know what he's talking about. You can't come and face the nation and tell them that regarding the project or rehabilitation project of the whole city, like Honorable said, to facelift the city, to improve the condition of the city. You come and tell the people that, look, this guy came to my office and I was talking to him.
I want to interject you here just for the sake of clarity.
Okay.
There is a corporate entity and there is the individual. I think we should desist from talking about the individual, Mr. Guy, because he is just an individual. It's a company that approached the government of the Gambia. So we should deal with, I hate being prejudiced, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I want us to deal with Guy Enterprise, which is a company, and the company has a legal, Guy Construction, it has a legal status just like a human being. So the individual should be...
what I'm saying is that I mentioned Hadim because he met the president. Well, I know on behalf of course, the company.
Yeah, no, but I think we need to take him out. I hate being prejudiced. I have issues with the project, but I don't have issues with individuals. And when the discussion is going, we should always try and put it back to the company.
We don't have an issue with the guy.
I agree. But that's why it shouldn't be personal.
No, it's not personal.
So let's go to the company.
But the president met the
but he met him on behalf of a company.
The contractor. That's the contractor, yeah.
So for me, the president talking in such a manner, a whole city project, capital city project, you're telling us that I met this man and this is what he told me and it was too good to believe. I just had to call my technicians and said, if he said he can do it, let's see. And then that was how this contract was awarded. And all that the president of the government relied on was to say, indeed, the executive has the powers to single source. They call it single source,
Single
right?
source, yeah.
Yeah,
APC, yeah.
APC. So, I mean, that itself, that is why the World Bank advised. They said there's a problem with your legal framework regarding the tendering process and all that, awarding of contracts, because the executive has the powers to overrule and single source the awarding of contracts. So I think the best thing the government could have done was to, heed by the advice of the World Bank and the IMF as partners. But I can understand also these are politicians, Fatou.
Yeah.
If you want to advise Barrow, even as a technician, somebody comes and say, look, hold on. Let's hold on with this whole project. Let's look at the advice, critically the advice of the World Bank and the IMF regarding the Banjul Project. President Barrow at that time will not be thinking of that. This man is thinking of how to win re-election. This man is thinking of how to please electorates out there, and you want to tell him that let's hold on with this. But we have seen the consequences. That also when the flooding happened, I was really mad seeing the president there, and all that he said at the end of the day was that and I said it here last week. It's time that we stop blaming or accusing God. You see, if we are not mindful day of judgment, a lot of us will be in trouble with God because we accuse him of things that he has no idea of. In the sense that good things that are being done by politicians, they always take credit. They will never blame, they will never give credit to God for that. But I'm coming, when something bad happened, they only said it's Ndogali Yala. Just what I'm trying to explain here is that President Barrow knows how to deal with the mindset of Gambians.
But on this project, though, I think the president relied on technicians. Because I remember.
What I'm saying is that he relied on technicians.
Yeah.
But you see, you can't be in government, you can't be the leader of a country for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. These are very easy things, Fatou. You don't necessarily, you can't. President Barrow was a businessman before he got into politics.
Yeah.
You can't just come, just awarding of a contract. You are inviting an individual who is heading that, company. Like Njai will say, we don't want to be personal here. We want to mention the company's name.
Yeah.
Inviting him, talking to him like that, and coming to the TV to talk to the nation, to tell people that this is how the contract was even awarded. I think those are so basic. You don't necessarily need to be a technician to understand that. So for me, there's no excuse surrounding that. We know very well that the technicians should have been there to guide him. based on, like I said, the World Bank and the IMF advice, the technicians should have been there to advise the president on that. But regarding how the process should be done, regarding which company to award this contract to, I think those are so basic that the president should have known basic procedures. When you're in government, Fatou, when you're leading a country, you must learn on the job. The president cannot be there all the time. You see, it's time that Gambians stop blaming these so-called advisors and technicians. The president, the president ought to perform, Fatou. You see, the president ought to perform. These are basic things that you have to learn.
I do understand, but I do understand the reason anywhere in the world, the reason you have advisors on specific areas is because the president rely on his advisors and technical teams.
I know.
The president cannot be on the at the Ministry of Works, be at Ministry of Health, be at... That is why he appoints these people.
Fatou.
When the technicians come and tell the president this is okay.
Fatou, the advice is good there. But what I'm saying is that there are certain things that are so basic. You don't need advice on that. You have to learn on the job. You have to know. So especially regarding contracts and all that not. There are basic things that you have to know. If the president had known the basic things, some of the things that he said in this interview, he would not have uttered them. Seriously. So we don't have any excuse for that. We can't just be giving excuse to Barrow to say he does not know. He has to. If you look, this is the difference.
Let me tell you, I'm not giving him the excuse to say he doesn't.
But that's what a lot of people will do in this country.
What I'm saying is, Esa, I do believe that the president should rely on his
Nobody is refuting that.
So
I know very well
that
the president should rely on the technicians. That's why I said, if the president had said that he was relying on the advice of the technicians regarding the World Bank advice and all that, I wouldn't have any issue with that.
But he said, you know what?
But there are certain basic things. You see, this is the difference between Jammeh and Barrow. Jammeh, with all his madness, he understands some of these basic things. You can't just come in his office unless he wants to be corrupt. But you can't just come to Jammeh's office and just fool him on some of these things. These are very basic. We can't give access to the president for that. He has to understand some of these things.
So good.
Honorable, can I?
Honorable, you want to come in?
Yeah. I just want to come in, but like I normally do, I will speak in Wolof.
Yes, good.
Because even conversation I would have preferred like I say
local language.
Because we're talking to the masses.
Yes,
this is very important.
Definitely. Yeah. Go ahead.
Come like the layman sitting down there. We really want to understand exactly la lendeka the explain.
Yeah.
Come numoko here once Dorin Barek. So many factors contributed towards what is happening right now, what Banjul is experiencing. The issue of the rehabilitation project is just one of it. But there are so many factors. The one of infrastructure wise, one in your demand, so you talk out on a round table. And this is what I told the authorities. It's very important you sit down on a round table again. We see how to better plan the city of Banjul because this is our city. Because so by hell, lifum nekani, then nekasi situation bo hamne, man personally, numako gise moi, munumat sit back the gis humanity this on. So fekene come like some of these authorities, amnen hol bobo, man personally awma hol bobo. And this is exactly luneka they happen. Tetami tundeme be talk si round table bobo. Then wara talk wahante diga. Sen naka la ñoo defaree mbir because foofu leen tollu si jamono bi.
Honorable moo tax dafa baax ñu seega loolu moo tax façon programme si am solo. ñu seega lan moo ñu indi fi ñu nekk nii.
mooy dëgg.
président wax nañu moom naka la concevoir idée bi.
mooy dëgg.
dama bëgg ñu déglu ministre bi lan la wax si ku defar projet bi. because moom mooy technicien bi man soo gisee ma nekk di insist ne. area bu nekk dafa am technicien National Assembly dañ am rôle si lii. because project bi biñ ko indi si National Assembly already.
Project be start.
Feka project be start na yow xam nga si dara. And they are the approving authority. Some of them know ne project be already door na. Waaye dañ ko fa indi ñu approve ko. Loolu gis nga loolu. bu ñu wax si président rek. Loolu yëpp dañ ko war a wax.
It's a failure of the system.
It's a system failure.
System be overload.
No one will refute that. But the president is leading that system. He's heading that system.
He is. But there are branches of government. National Assembly is another branch. If we blame the president, we blame them too.
Xam nga dama am li ma dee wax Gambien si ñëpp. Ma ne leen Adama Barrow yàlla daf ko may ne moom kenn la Gambien yi votel. Hôtel pour mu nekk président. Su doxee yëpp correct
moom
moom ndam li su yaaxoo moom ndam li but dafa am lu xew waaye nguur dafa am checks and balances dañ am National Assembly néegi ndaw yi su executive bi defee seen njuuj njaaj ak seen nonsense ñële war nañoo scrutinize war nañoo seet mbir mi ndax amul ay mbóot yuñ ci laaxa waaye am na loo xam ne tamit foog naa ñun Gambien si dañ war a gën a try ñu seet yan façon yi nit la ñoo yóbbu ci parlement bi doon na nit ñooñu dañ bonde waaye seen xel yi am na si ñoo xam ne ñu bari naacuñ pour understand te li gën a ñaaw mooy nga toog si béréb tey li nga def sax xamuloo ko dafa mel ni tey nit koo xam ne odli la ba pare bëgg a dugg ci theatre room ne dafa xar operate lii moo dal Gambia te waruñoo blame tamit ñi dem parlement rek de ñun ñi toog fii nekk spectator di seetaan te xam ne mun nañoo wecci suñ dëkka ñu bañ a bokk ci pomi ñun tamit part of the problem la so dañ am a collective societal problem waaye suñ ko narrowee down the ultimate responsibility ultimate is the president of the republic because mooy initiator project bi moom mooy executor project bi lu ma mean execute moo ko jox blessing through his cabinet pour mu dem ministry of works ñu def ko ministry of finance seet nu ñoo financer affaire si waaye dafa am lu ñoo ooyee duty of care duty of care mooy mu seet naka la nuñ koo fayee ndax liggéey bi baax na moom amul capacité boobu waaye am na ay nit ñu ko wër ñoo xam ne yàlla may na leen ñu xarañ waaye dama fi wax dara last week ma ne in Gambia dafa am lu ñoo ooyee a cozy relationship ànd goo xam ne dafa ratax torop mooy consultant contractor ak employer mooy nguur gi ñetta ñi waruñoo nekk xarit employer bi mooy nguur gi moo bëgg nga liggéeyal ko moom dafa war a toogee nele contractor bi taxawee nele consultant bi nekk seen diggante li war from nguur gi to kii mu make sure mu ngi xew li war from contractor bi to nguur gi mu make sure mu ngi xew waaye ñetta ñi buñ demee ba bokk benn ndab musiba mooy am te nag du ci lii rek soo xoolee suñ liggéeyi airport bi seen musiba la soo xoolee suñ liggéeyi tali yoo xam ne ñu ngi fi taw bi dafa raxas benn yoon tali bi raxasu mooy ne dañ am relationship boo xam ne referee bi ki nga xam ne moo war a nekk arbitre moo ñuy fo ci biir baye bi ñoo bokk po bi léegi-léegi dañ ko pass football bi sax léegi-léegi muskoo
bàyyi ko mu dem
muskoo moom si boppam
sa own goal
waaye ñun sa ñun war nañoo jàngat si lu bari Mr Njie wax na ko fii ñu bari ñoo involve si lii waaye last year experience then biir Tabacourou tali Téesito a flash flood mu nekkoon loo xam ne gis nañ yëpp àdduna bi yëpp gis nañ naka la fa demee mu nekkoon a warning for the city of Banjul ak président bi ak nguuram mu nekkoon loo xam ne it was very alarming waaye luñ def mooy at the end of the day ñu ngi ko gisee woon ne si political year leen nekka waa neen focus on politique because we want to be re-elected réew du lee doxee nii tey ñi joo xam ne ñoo sofa wala ñoo jëna sofa si lii wala ñoo jëna vulnerable si lii mooy jigéen ñi ak xale yi tey nga dem si display center bu ñu am Saint Augustine jigéen ñi ak xale yi ñoo fa ëppa dama laa wax ne 99.9 nit yu fa nekk yëpp jigéen ñi ak xale yi leen te yëpp li yëpp lan moo leen ko teg mooy lan mooy nguur bi man noonu laa ko gisee nguur bi moo leen ko teg tey ñu ngi homeless because of nguur bi loolu gars yi dañ ko war a jël tamit understand ne ñoom ñoo ko responsible because su fekkoon ne last year bala flash flood bi happudee jël leen i jéego make sure ne understand because tey pour wax la dëgg rek pour machine yi ba leen fixé ndox bi dafa dem as I am talking to you depuis on the 31st ba up to date tey mooy first day ma solo normal waaye da ngaa gis ne comme like yow already xam nga ne the problem is su tawee especially taw bu bari su amee te ñun ñëpp xam neen ñun ñëpp dégg neen am neen information bi ne dina taw te ndox bi dina bari lu tax fix suñ machine nga toog bee problème am nga ne yaa ngi fix machine si biir taw
reactionary
lu tamit la boo ma jaaxal ba pare teg si lu ma si jëna jaaxal mooy most of these authorities nga toog ba problème am nga ñëw nga ne man la ministre diw man la directeur diw man dama ko gisee comme mbiri ñaawal sax parce que this is unacceptable because already ñoom xamoon nen ne problème mu ngi fa
waaye lii nag capacity problem la liggéeykat bi because li ma loo gisee ma laaj loolu contract company bi last year flood am na
waaw
am na te gis nga su yaaxute su amee Tobacco am na léegi dama foog ne soo liggéeyee dara nga gis ne ba tey mu ngi flood balaa nawet di ñëw ñun sax suñ kër yi gis nga suma kër am na feena fu doon seena last year nawet dafa jee ma ne balaa nawet di ñëw benn kër gi changeal leen ma ko that's what everybody does da ngaa préparé nawet léegi yow su dee last year dafa tawoon mu yaaxule am lu tax loolu am nañ almost 1 year defaruñ ko is it capacity problem or ndax they don't care
xaw ma daal vidéo boobu am ngeen ko gis nañ fi président bi bu ko Banjul Muslim Elders meeting mu ne problème du amaat Banjul wax na moo contracteur bi waaw mu ne ko ne nii bul woori problème du amaat parce que isi naa machine yaa ngi understand waaye man laa wax ne even lii ba la happen waaw it was in the early hours of Sunday Monday la gaa isi machine can you imagine ba la gaa isee loolu sax daf leen jël i fan balaa ñu koo commencé di fix because man personally I went to the pump station yeah because wax bi mu ngi bari woon wax baa ngi bari woon ma dem ba si pump station bi si kaw fu ñu ooyee pa machine pour leeral aduna bi lan moo nekk di happen
kon pa machine am na
pa machine am na
mooy Bukis that's the original name but Fatou problem bi is bigger than loolu we have a problem with the contract we have a problem with the way the contract has been awarded but also we have a problem of negligence and disregard for our environment by the government of the Gambia and the government of the day. Tanbi wetland is a protected international wetland. International. And that's why the EU through the Austin initiative are trying to do projects there to revitalize the environment, to make sure birds and other things do come there. So having the Ministry of Lands allocating land in the heart of the wetland is an assault, not insult, assault. It's the same as physically punching someone because it's an assault to the people of Banjul. Why? The Tanbi is the reservoir, is the tank that receives excess water from the city. So now if you take the Tanbi and give it to petrol stations, port storage, flour mill, you are taking away from the reservoir, meaning if the reservoir was able to contain 20 million liters of water after giving away this land, maybe it's now containing 12 million liters of water. So now once it's full, you have what you call a backflow. It goes back into the city. And going back into the city, meaning the water will not go anywhere until the reservoir starts emptying. This is the mechanics of what's causing the flood.
Exactly.
Simple. The tank is the big space of land called Tanbi. Once it's filled with water, it has to evacuate to accept more water from the city.
Exactly.
So you have now built on what used to be a reservoir. So let's look at it holistically. The contract has its flaws.
Exactly.
But our environmental neglect also plays a part in what's going on. Then also within the contract, it says Banjul rehabilitation, drainage, and sewerage. If you understand the sewage design in Banjul, it wasn't designed for the whole of the city. It was designed because then the city was smaller. The pipes of the sewage are small. And we know that in some homes in Banjul, after Tobaski, they take their cow skins and their sheep skins and everything, put it in there so the sewage get clogged. Once the sewage clogs and it rains, because there's two ways to evacuate water out of Banjul, the drainage and the sewage. The sewage will take it behind Atlantic Hotel deep into the mouth of the River Gambia. Because you have a treatment facility at Gambia High, process it, push it on the ground, at least 500 meters, 700 meters from the shore into the Atlantic Ocean. So now, when it rains and everything is working perfectly, the sewage will evacuate water, the drain will evacuate water, and there will not be enough water that will overflow and make Banjul wet. But the calculation is very simple. They know that they have a reservoir called Tanbi that will accept water. They know that they have pumping station at Brikama Car Park and Gambia High School Car Park that will make the mechanics of our sewage system work. So if these things are happening, we can all go to sleep that it can rain 36 hours and there'll be no flood in Banjul. But now, 2019, it happened. We had a flood. Last year, we had a flood. And up until now, the machine at Brikama Car Park, the machine at Gambia High School, which are components of this project, over $2 million costed, are still not fixed 4 years into the project. Did the consultant do his job right? Then the answer is no, because supervision is lacking.
Yeah.
Did the employer, meaning the one giving out the contract, government, make a claim and a complaint that the lives and livelihood of the people I'm trying to serve, the people of Banjul, has been made miserable because these pumps are not working? 2019, 2020, 2021, now 2022. So fundamentally, there has been a neglect and dereliction of duty by the people who care and control this project.
Now let's watch.
Dama bugal adopt rek si Mr. Njai Lumbwa. Gis nga luma wax ni is very important. Ne these two pipes soon function well.
Yeah.
That is the pump that is going to Atlantic, Ganao Atlantic Hotel, ak Pharmacien bi. So fekone it was functioning, leading ko Musa experience. Guess what, Mr. Njai? They started fixing the other pump that is going to Atlantic yesterday. Wow. As I am talking to you, yesterday I personally went to the guy who is more responsible for the pump at Gambia High School. That is the sewage pump. Because they could divert on, they could dugal sa, si main ring canal bi. Health-wise, that was bad. All this while,
that's raw waste. It's called raw waste.
And this is what we've been experiencing, more especially the people living along the ring canal within Tobacco Road towards Jollof Town Ward.
And not only that, they're eating the was.
Exactly.
That's coming out from the Bond Road area, and now we are putting in raw waste into our food chain.
So, Lolo Tambane, it is multifaceted in terms of what cause what we are facing right now as the people of Banjul when it comes to the recent flash flood. Because the thing is, man, to be honest, always, I am not the expert, but I believe in research. I talk to people, I talk to experts. The minimally engage. Even the research boomba that was done by Austin.
Yes.
I have the report. That was in 2004 towards 2005. And this was a very comprehensive report, which the people of Austin did for the people of Banjul.
Yes.
That has to do with the wetland. That contractor be Jilna Jego Yoyo pour access to such a document, which is very important to understand better in terms of but then,
Mr. Ba, it brings us to the capacity that I keep saying. That contractor be that capacity to do a project like that. Because today,
when I heard him say, okay, the contractor said he has the capacity.
But that's what I'm saying. And because today, linga wani, you dugal ko si yon bo hamne da, you know, is health hazard la mo costa si dekabi.
Manela machine be demalenko kuma said fix. I'm not even sure whether it has started working now. Because by right, do binung wara deme mo ni agni.
Yeah.
Do bisu deme ni agni. Do Musa experience full as full.
Absolutely.
Machine bisa sulen hemunenko fay anytime. Wohumala sam we pump 24 hours. Because right now, need to be honest, the pump machine at the pump station, that is at the power machine, according to the contractor, pump pipe buneka dina pump 2.5 million liters per hour. So meaning 5 million liters len neka di pump per hour. And guess what? Even the connection, that is in terms of electricity supply is connected to NAWEC. Why not you generator?
Wow.
Because comme luma lay wax rek ñun dem nekk si emergency situation.
Okay.
La fa neexut be neexut, but I think that it is always important for people to understand what really happened. I would just want to briefly
go ahead
say what happened. Because ñun that very Sunday si fajar bi danaka around 3 a.m. I started receiving calls from the residents of Banjul North. Suma nek bange fess, which was very alarming. Te kum nakala ko waxe rek, I started calling the relevant authorities. And the first call buma am kuma muna wahal moy the mayor of Banjul, comme nakala ko Mr. Njai waxe. Because he is the custodian of Banjul as the mayor.
Wow.
Man, as the National Assembly member, I should consult her. And I believe that in terms of protocols, protocol nangun lama lolu ne. Lama ko wara call pujigal ko lamo ne kasi city.
Yeah.
No lama advice ne trial ngam work as a team. That is with all the councillors. Then make sure that you see how best you can help your people. Li mu nekon lo xamne it was te dama ne it is still a very hard moment. Man ba legi mënuma ko believe. But lu yalla di lay wax. Comme luñ lay wax rada. Ne yalla du lay tok doomi adama bi lum antalu. We tried by all means to make sure we reach out to the people. That very moment, Mala was 7 a.m. Sisuba. We started seeing the water inside people's bedrooms within the constituency. Because Nokbi, the far joge si inner city bi, Dawsi. So Balam Nokbi di Dawsi, we understand the pump station was not functioning.
That's why the fish were coming in.
Exactly.
The fish were not from the city.
No.
The water that went first to the Tanbi went there. And once the Tanbi was full, the water tried to come back to the city. And the water that's trying to get out of the city met up with it. And it went up.
Nga jokko yon, wala mu job bopam yon. Li moy mbir bi. And this is exactly what we face with. I always make emphasis on this. Situations you hamne mun nañ ko avoid. Buñ tok ñu xaar. We owe it to the people there.
We do.
That's negligence.
Negligence.
Illegal we will go back to them. Ñun as politicians, di leen a laki dada. Te waruta nekk business as usual. Man war naa ko niti. It's high time ñu ubbi suñ boti. Lii mu ngi nekk situation boo xam ne because ñun fuñ demee Bedi hala pour jëndal suñ boppa 10 machines. Resident. Just to sell. Ñun waa Tabakoro, ñun si Tabakoro si. Ñu jóg volunteer. Even imam yi sax ñu jóg. Imam yi ñu war a dem jiite ji. Ñu jóg. Ñu dem ba pa machine pour make sure ne ndox bi rek pom den ko with whatever capacity buñ mun a def. It was just there towards complementing the efforts of what was ever happening there. Te li mu ngi nekk loo xam ne wa digga ne yàlla néew si xol. You don't expect us to pay our tax at the same time doing the job.
I mean, 40 billion is no small money.
We cannot pay the tax at the same time doing the job. Say, man, as the National Assembly member, my co-mandate is not to go to people's compound, start the pump lobby. But make we delegate on the sewage. No. But this is happening. We are doing all this. Do MPB, do councillor. Yep, you get definitely. They come what living me councillor be. My chief cook be see this place center be. She's the one taking care of the food. Why? Why it happen?
I just want to come in here. I think you raised a very important point regarding Gambians or our government's been reactive instead of being proactive when things happen. And like I said, we always see these things coming. Last year, there was flooding. We should have been prepared. If this were in other parts of the world, seriously, it would have been different. This is what serious countries in 21st century do. When they face problems this year, they make sure that they plan ahead so that they don't experience the same problem next year. Now, here is the thing, you know, like for me, I'm more concerned about the health consequences of this whole stuff. Because many a times we look at only the flooding, the water, you know, enter people's compounds, their houses and all that, their bedrooms. But how about the health implications of these things, like you explained here? I mean, yesterday I was watching, when the president went out, there was a Red Cross volunteer. I can't remember the name, but there was a Red Cross volunteer who was telling the president that's a health risk alarm. That there are people that they have already seen with rashes on their skin. Yes. And we saw the Ministry of Health made a press release to say that I think there are children at the RVTH or so.
Even when the mayor was out, there was a health officer who said the water is contaminated.
The water is already contaminated. We know that. So what is the government doing about that? See, these are complex, interrelated problems that the government really has to look into. And as you said, this is not your mandate as a National Assembly member. But what happens in this country, like I said, government will take credit for any good thing that happened. Politicians will go and face the people and tell them that I built the roads here, I did this, I did that, I did that. But when it comes to failure, they will come and tell people that let's stop the blame game. That is what President Barrow said when he visited these people. Let's stop the blame game and work together in unison so that we can solve this. Like you said, It is not anybody's responsibility to go and fix our roads or our drainage systems. It is the responsibility of the government. People pay their tax. And that's why I always say that Gambians must stop thinking that ordinary citizens have a responsibility to fix this country. Fix this country, making roads. When you say the roads are not good, they will tell you that the government cannot do all. Citizens also have to play their part. It is not my responsibility. If you appoint me as a teacher, my job is to go to the classroom and teach.
Yeah.
If I appoint you, if I elected you as a National Assembly member, your job is to go to the parliament. If you are appointed as a clerk, your job is to go to the office. Yeah. It is the responsibility of the government to fix every road in this country. So it is not people's responsibility to go and do that. Mr. Barr cannot be doing that. The councillors cannot be doing that, go into people's houses and pump out water.
Yeah, but what the president needs to do now, you see, when water is under the bridge, is water under the bridge. But we have what you call, we have a collective responsibility, but we have individual accountability. Mr. President should now take the bull by the horn, that I am the citizen-in-chief, and my intention was to give a better Banjul, not only to Banjulians, but Gambians at large, because it's our capital. Unfortunately, my wishes and aspirations didn't materialize. Notwithstanding, what is owned by the taxpayer and it's not well spent, I want people to be held accountable for. And how am I going to do that? It's not only about commissions. Get an independent consultant, once again. Bring him in. Say, look, here is the contract. Here is the scope of work. Go all throughout the city. Do tests on strength tests on the concretes. See whether what was said is what is done. Look at the drains and see whether what was said was what is done. Now give me a costing independent of what has been asked of me. If I see that I've been railroaded, I will hold the contractor accountable, and I will hold my technicians that I depended on to make a decision accountable for what has happened. That way, the citizenry will say the president means business.
Now,
but if this is just another exercise of let's make noise, let's be zero tolerant on this, and sweep it under the rug, it's an insult to the people.
And our role here is to point out those systematic failures. That's what we're doing. One of the technicians who gave a thumbs up to Hadim said Hadim was the best for this project.
This company.
He was the minister of
Nyang will say.
Hadim Guy, the contractor. The Minister of Works and Works then, Lamin Job. Let's watch that interview. And I want to make something very clear here. I saw somebody saying, for fairness, we should have brought government officials. Actually, the reason why Oli is not here is because government spokesperson, deputy, was supposed to be here. I spoke to the Minister of Works and Infrastructure, Ibrahima. He was supposed to be joining us but he had a meeting. He had directed me to talk to the office of the government spokesperson. Sankare assigned Sankano to come, but Sankano, just when we got here, whilst we were getting ready, sent a text to say he's stuck in the office, he's finishing some work, so he's not able to make it. So it's not that we did not bring government officials to come and answer to these questions. These are important.
I think people have to understand one thing about Gambian government officials. When they do good achievement, call the media houses, they will just come. But when they know that they've messed up, it's always difficult for them to come and face the people. And I think this is the exact reason. There's no other reason, but they know they have messed up. Therefore, they wouldn't want to come and appear.
So definitely, we gave the opportunity, and that wouldn't, I mean, obviously, if they're not here, that doesn't mean we should stop the show. We will point out what happened. We are just also doing our job just like everyone else. So let's watch that interview Mustafa did with Lamin Job, who really said, actually, Guy Construction was the right person for this business. After that, Honorable Dinamo wax ndax dega Guy li nga ko waxal yépp ci ne liggéey bi mun na koo def. Ndax léegi liggéey bi def na ko.
You're talking like Barrow, I don't know.
Well, I'm talking like Barrow. I want to be like
your hands and all
that. I want to be like me. I want to be a president. Let's watch Lamin Job and Mustafa Dawa's interview.
Well, who's saying that? Who's saying? You know,
well, the Guy Construction
no, look, as far, I just told you, as far as people in this country are concerned and involved in this sector, I don't think there's anybody more competent than I am to make a decision like that because of my experience. No, it's not a question of even bragging. I know this sector. I have grown with it. In fact, I have been involved almost 8 years trying to build the capacity of the sector. And I know almost all the contractors, all the consultants involved, especially the local ones.
I appreciate that.
So if somebody is saying out there that, look, guy doesn't have the experience, it's an opinion. But whether that opinion is a fact is another thing.
I appreciate that experience. When you are awarding contract, do you consider looking into the financial wherewithal of companies?
Of course, I'm sure the Minister of Finance, when they were discussing with Guy about the financing arrangement, they look into all those things.
The companies share capitals.
Yes, I'm sure they look into all those things. I am certain.
Do you know how much Guy?
I don't know.
When Guy Construction, when were they established?
I know when I was in Gunworks.
No, not the Enterprise. The Guy Construction is the one that won the project. Yes. Guy Enterprise.
I don't. Well, for Guy, his outfit, I knew about them since when I was. Whether it's Guy Enterprise, Guy Construction, I know he had a construction outfit.
Well, Guy Construction, I can tell you, was established in May 2018.
Well, whatever, I don't know. But he's been involved.
With a share capital of 10 million.
Yes.
You think they could handle this?
Of course. Well, the Minister of Finance thinks so. And I think so technically. Yes.
Why do you, what's that based on?
Well, based on what they have in terms of equipment, in terms of personnel, in terms of their management capacity that I have seen, in terms of implementing projects.
Thank you very much. So, Honorable, Lamin Guy is the best in the business in terms of capacity, in terms of lo xalaat rek tey Banjul mu ngi float ndax agree nga ak some assessment boobu ne ministre bi defoon about Guy Construction.
xam nga comme man lu ma am pour wax ci loolu mooy the former minister of works foofu la ko xelam yóbbu waaye dinaa ko yëgal fu mu di nekka ne the people of Banjul more especially jigéen ñi ak xale yi they are suffering a lot because tey comme nu ma ko waxee woon si doorin ba ne waroon nañoo put in mechanisms pour avoid the current situation parce que tey su fekkee ne yow da nga taxaw ne kii la fa qualify for the job ñu gis ne commencé na liggéey bi daanaka mu ne jeexal si na sax liggéey bi loolu la waa Banjul nekk di wax léegi lii la ñu millions of dollars cost mooy lan ñu jógee suñ kër yi dem si school di fa fanaan jógee si suñ kër yi xamuñ sax ndax dinañ delluwaat suñ kër yi parce que this is the current situation te lii mu ngi nekk loo xam ne ñu ngi ko métti lu bu baax because nekkul luñ musa expect because soo xoolee mbir bi tey nga gis ñoo xam ne si camp bi soo demee waxtaan ak gaay because psychologically dama lay dem sometimes di engage some of them dama lay wax honorable pour wax la dëgg rek man duma mun a dellootee suma néeg bi for the main reason ne comme nuñ ko waxee some of you ne ndox bi was already contaminated in a sense ne sewage system bi moo nekkutoon di work sewage system bi comme ni ko Mr Njie waxee il faut years ago ba léegi workut functionut lii mu force ndox bu tilim bi mu dugga si biir dëkkat bi jaxasoo ndoxi taw bi xam nga suñu
waaw bu ko ooyee ndoxi tilim wax ko ndoxi kama waaw soo ne ndox mu tilim nit ñi dañoo foog na ndox mu tilim la
waaw ndoxi kama
because Banjul amul sockaway so pipe yi sewage bi mooy normal sockaway bi so pipe boobu dafa ñëw nekk léegi ci pax bu mag boobu nekk diggante Gambia High ak St Augustine te boobu pour drain la drain mooy lan fresh water bu ñu war a evacuate mu dem ci tan bi xam nga the mechanics of draining Banjul is very simple su doxee properly ñun mun nañoo nelaw fukki fan yàlla di wàccee taw te ndox du ñëw because dafa jógee ci biir dëkk bi mu jaar ci drainage system bi through the main artery ring canal bi mu ñëw gannaaw Gambia High gannaaw library gannaaw parliament mu dem su demee ba tan bi door fees pa machine daf ko pompe jaalale ko su ko jaalalee Mandinari la ndox bi di utali ak Saaro so Banjul will be safe and dry then after the 80s around 86 87 ñu liggéeyal ñu sewage through the SOGIA français yi ñu am a sewage system so biñ amee sewage system poti kama yi Banjul ñu génnee ko léegi kama yi muy dem direct ci biir pipes yi but tamit bi ñoo liggéey loolu defuñ ko rek pour kama dañ ko def pour su nawet jotee taw bi bari manhole yi fa nekka ci kaw tali bi mu sok ndox mu duga su dugee mu pomp ko mu dem si treatment facility bi Gambia High School mu jëlaatee ko foofu flush ko 600-700 meters into the Atlantic then Banjul mun nañoo tëdda nelaw system boobu moo fail and when that system failed in 2019 ñu am problème lan la contractor bi def dafa indi nit ne NAWEC ñoo responsible yow ñu ngi la fay pour nga rehabilitate it means that there is a problem suñ amutoon problème doo rehabilitate te yow sa project bi mu ngi ne soo peree sa liggéey bi da nga ko war a hand over NAWEC so yow there was a problem in before 2019 that's why you were paid to rehabilitate but when the flooding came dañ blame at NAWEC ne li doxut tey auditor general wax nañu ne Brikama pumping station Brikama car park pumping station ak Gambia High pumping station which budgetal nañ ko over 2.8 million ba tey amagut pump kañ nga ñu faa jox pompe soo defee liggéey bay génna fekk nit ñi ñu ngi dëkk biir Banjul ñu ngi torox ba tey
bari waaye wax na ko bi mu tasee ak président non xam nga ñang
waaye tamit
moom kii wax na lii si kanami mayo rees na ko
waaw non mayo reesul loolu de na leer mayo lim rees
ñu wax la li ma xarama jekkali mayo bi président taxawee contract bi taxaw mayo dafa ne balaa maa dem Hadim xam naa ne si contract bi am na 2 million boo xam ne mu ngi fa pour equipments ndax du
waaw loolu la fa am pour defa
sanitary equipment
okay
waaye pump bi
waaw
both for Brikama and Gambia High should have been there after year 1 minimum meaning sign nga contract nga order ko ñu ngi ko ship mu ngee ñëw ñi la ko war a installal ñu ngee ñëw may naa la 12 months by year 2 of the project pump yooyu waroon nañoo functional because lan mooy loolu mooy xoli Banjul bi
gis nga Mr Njie
yooyu mooy xoli Banjul yi moo war a génnee ndox
Mr Njie dama adopt si loolu rek madame gis nga tey soo bàyyi xel ku understand système yi Banjul dëgga gis nga tang yooyu wax ni tang bu nekk garage si Brikama ak bu nekk Crab Island it's not functioning yeah and these are things yoo xam ne comme like nobody is talking about it
waaye loolu xam nga loolu problème yi lan la consultancy bi
non du consultant bi non du consultant bi xam nga tamit du consultant bi soo jëlee project holistically nga ne man maa bëgg a rehabilitate Banjul dafa waroon a fekk ne yow dem nga laaj NAWEC lan mooy seen problème yi lii ba doxut ñu jox la des needs assessment collaboration moo amut ci lii sewage division yi NAWEC ñoo amee pumps yooyu so yow mënuloo liggéey te amuloo hand in glove relationship with ñi amee foofu ba nga xam ne mu ngi fail ba doxut.
But should that be the job of the contractor?
Ñang li ma wax mooy the reason why the reason why
because this is an EPC. We did on a normal circumstance we would have designed our project, government of the Gambia, give it to the contractor, say lii lañ bëgg a def mu cost ko mu feeñ. But we didn't design a project. The contractor designed and implemented a project, and upon completion should hand it over to the beneficiary.
My question here is, the reason why a consultant was paid $1.6 something million, and that was also EPC, single sourcing, mind you, boobu tam benen wax la. So audit report bi ñu ngi la wax ne even the consultant tenda wuñ ko. Dañ taana ñu joxe ko. Xam nga lii li fa nekk moo bari consultant bi tam dañ ko taana ñu jox ko consultant si liggéey bi now li ma xam mooy when a project contractor works on a particular area right dafa am pour consultant bi dafa am pour ñëw xool ko mu seet ko project document bi ne lii nga waxoon lii ak lii ndax loolu moo fa nekk mu sign on it is that bill of signature bi nga xam ne consultant bi sign na ko loolu la government war a use pour pay that particular area ndax du waa léegi loolu consultant bi am na si liggéey because su dee dafa war a jënd ñaari pompe jëndut ko daf ko war a jënd de yeewan te ñun ñu ngi ko fay National Assembly bi approve nañ payment dem there was a time in fact it was not budgeted for dañ ñëwoon ne dañ war a fay contract ba xaw ma 300 million xaw ma lan wax ji jógoon na fi ñu mbamba ko si na so consultant bi am na si liggéey moom tam.
And I think I don't know what honorable you are the National Assembly. For me, this is a serious problem. And I think Parliament can still play a role. I don't know whether they're going to summon the government to answer certain questions, because looking at the video, the interview that the former Works Minister had with the journalists, if this was a serious country, I mean, this guy would have been held accountable. The technicians that you mentioned, he was the technician.
He was the technician.
And like I keep mentioning, I keep saying, the advice from the partners, the IMF and the World Bank, one of the advice was, in fact, they should strengthen the capacity of the GPPA. Because these are problems, the awarding of the contract and all that, these are also problems associated with the GPPA. So that advice, the contract, or the minister as the technician, as the advisor to the government, should have done that, should have advised the president on how to go about with that. But he failed in that regard. And him coming boldly to say, I've been in this business
I'm the best
so
in
long,
the business.
I'm the best in this, I'm not bragging, I'm the best in this. I think he was just bragging.
But you gave us
No, but he's not. Honestly,
I'm
with all fairness to him, he knows his job.
Not this one, not this one.
No, I'm not talking about on this assignment.
Well, he failed on this one. He failed.
Nyang, he failed.
No, I agree. What I'm saying.
He's not the best then.
No. Allow me. There's two things here: knowing wrong and doing wrong, and knowing right from wrong.
So you think he knew it, but he did the wrong thing?
Well,
right?
I am just saying.
Wait.
Allow me.
It's either one of it.
No. I'm saying there is one thing, knowing that this is wrong, and you do something.
You're not saying he knew that it was wrong.
Well, anyone, me Nyang Jai, I'm not an engineer. But allow me, I'm not an engineer. I haven't gone to engineering school. My only exposure to contracting is through serious works, airport, roads. I've been involved in it, and that's why I am telling you. And I'm glad I worked under someone called Bami Jain. FIDIC was like a Bible for us. Whenever a contractor wants something or a consultant wants something, we refer to the FIDIC document to get guidance. What I'm saying here is, Mr. Ex-Minister is well experienced internationally and locally.
Yeah.
So there are two things here: knowing right and doing wrong. For whatever reason, best known to him.
He knows the right thing and he did the wrong thing.
Yes.
Exactly. That's what I want to get from you. But then what I'm saying is that this minister should have been held responsible for the problem that we had in Banjul. He was the technician. He was the advisor. He was supposed to guide the president. Because like we all know, the way the president was talking, it tells you that he has no idea. He doesn't even know how the tendering process should be done. And the minister was there to guide him. That he guided him wrongly by advising him, we suppose, because he's there even saying that the contractor, can do this job and all that not. So meaning he advised the president for them to hand over this. Like you said, even the process of awarding the consultancy was even wrong. The National Audit Report is there. And that's why I think the National Assembly, of course, you are the parliamentarian for Banjul North, this issue could be posed. Now we have seen the National Audit Report out, saying one thing, that the process, the tendering process was wrong, it was single source and all that. And then, if you look at the audit report published by the Standard yesterday, the National Audit Office is saying this, but the Ministry of Works is saying another thing, that indeed the tendering process was done and all that. So that is why I think it is important for the National Assembly to invite the Ministry of Works to come and answer questions, because these are the issues raised by the National Audit Office. And the ministry is saying otherwise.
And it's not just the Ministry of Works. I want to bring in the tax, the Ministry of Finance. I want to bring the tax component here.
No, for important.
Why halis be more bari?
No, for important.
$111 million is tax payments yo xamne project bi waron nako delo ci rewmi. Man mi nga xamne man mi gëna ñaka ci rewmi ma nga fay tax. Suñ la joxé when the Ministry of Works approached the Ministry of Justice to advise them on the tax component, they told them to seek advice from the Ministry of Finance.
Yes.
The Ministry of Finance wrote to the GRA to tell them about the tax exemption. And in their response, GRA referenced, they told the Ministry of Finance that because they are not an international, they're not qualified in the tax exemption bracket. That means they should pay. And it says it is therefore clear from the position of the Commissioner General of GRA that the contractor is not exempted from paying tax, and as a result, the contractor should honor his tax obligations under the contract.
I am happy to.
And is he paying tax?
I'm happy to answer this question. And number one, the Ministry of Finance. That's where the Sales and Income Tax Act or whatever act that's governing GRA resides.
Yeah.
The Commissioner General has powers, but he doesn't have discretion.
Yeah.
The law is very clear
on that. Yeah.
The reason companies do have tax exempt because most of our projects are funded by international taxpayers. What's international taxpayer? Government of Saudi Arabia, government of Kuwait, government of you name it.
Yeah.
They are donating funds. And internationally, donor funds are not taxable. That's the norm. Why? If I want to give you 1 million, I have to adjust it to 1.4 million. Why should I? So I'll give you 1 million and you less taxes out of it. This particular project is funded by GLF, Gambia Local Fund, meaning the Consolidated Revenue Fund.
Yep.
The Consolidated Revenue Fund is monies collected from Gambians, from the farmer growing salad, the farmer growing peanut, the nyaukat, the mechanic. Therefore, if those people are paying taxes to put funds into the greater goods coffer, whoever gets a contract should bring back to the greater goods coffer. And they have failed on that. But not only have they failed on that, as a fiscal economist, I'm looking at it at a broader perspective. We've paid an individual $40 million directly to do a project. But that project has other cost implications, i.e. duties, because his inputs are cement, basalt, diesel, steel, and few other items, wood sometimes to make formwork, that are imported. All these items are attracting zero duties because of the exemption he has been given. So the opportunity cost for government is we have lost, let's say, $3 million on duties. We have lost $2 million on corporate taxes. That's $5 million, plus the direct $41 million we have paid him. So we have lost $46 million. That's how much it cost us. So the total cost to the economy, the total cost to the Gambian, because what we give him in duty waivers is what you forego to put into a school, into a hospital, into any other social project
so they
or
can
endeavor.
also bring back.
So the Gambian need to understand that it's not only the cost of the ticket item, but the incidentals that has been foregone by the greater good of society. And that was not right, and it's not the right thing to do, and it's not best practice. If you go backward, other people who have received contracts, paid for 100% by the state, paid their taxes. They bought materials at dutiable prices because when they're doing costings, they cost it at market price. So what it means is if this company did its costing on market prices, they are buying everything at a discounted price. So 1 kilometer of road, if it were cost at, let's say, $700,000 using market prices, after receiving his duties and taxes, maybe 1 kilometer of road is costing him $425,000.
Wow.
So even before concreting, you are making money, savings.
So the more nekk situation bi
situation bi
esa tamit war na fi lu important, that is the role of the National Assembly.
Yeah.
Expectation bi xam naa ne is very high, but yàlla def na ne at the level of the National Assembly we have different committees, more especially committees that has to do with monitoring of government projects.
Yeah.
I believe ne that committee will do the needful and bring it during the third ordinary session, because currently ñu ngi on recess, so September ñu ngi resume. Te su ñëwee, people like me or parliamentarians like me, xam naa ne we have a lot to contribute, because all what we're going to do or part of our submission is what we saw with our eyes. Li nekkul loo xam ne dañu ko nekk di wax ñun ñu ngi si ground bi since day one di liggéey ak relevant stakeholders yi te tamit xam naa ne it will be very unfair tamit ñu jeexal plateforme bi te waxuñ some of the things yoo xam ne happen na si ground bi. Because suñu waxantee dëgg rek the first call buñ am in terms of response was the mayor of Banjul. Taxaw na comme naka la kilifa war a taxawee goxam. te loolu ba la amee tamit Gambia Red Cross. Banjul Red Cross they did a lot parce que ñoom ñoo ñëw collaborate ak ñun, that is the office of the National Assembly member for Banjul North, the councillors for Banjul North ba pare ak yeneen councillors sax because even ndox bi la fa affect ñoo xam ne sax ñu ngi Jolof Town Ward, that is Banjul South. Because nun designé ring canal bi la ñooñu ñëpp they were affected badly. te right now ni as I am talking to you we have 2 display centers in Banjul.
waaw loolu laa bëggoon naka seen tey gis naa ne suma team bi ñëwoon nañ ànda mayor bi mu dem seet leen conditions lu yàlla xam doy na. How is the situation right now?
Right now ni dañoo ne alhamdulillah with the intervention of National Disaster Agency, Management Agency, si njiitali Mr. Dahaba, to be honest, bala ñëwee forward, mu ngi def kemtulay kattanam pour make sure ne we better house the people that are affected as far as this flash flood is concerned. Te alhamdulillah ñu ngi progress as we go along. Waaye man suma concern was only ne comme in terms of emergency situation, buñ lee toog ñuy wax guys soog a react. Comme lu Red Cross def Red Cross tooguñ xaar Red Cross ba leen demee ba follow suma Facebook live bi rek understand ne there is a situation in Banjul immediately then ma contact and when they contacted me immediately they ñëw si ground bi with non-food materials, that is sanitary materials, pour ñu seet naka la ñoo dimbalee the urgent affected families. That is exactly what we did. Te tamit da nga gis ne tamit the principal of St. Joseph High School and also the principal of St. Augustine High School, that is father, they did a lot in terms of helping us during the process. Because tey ñu ngi wax waxi display center ñi ñoo ko xeet ñi ñoo ko tax mu happen parce que suñu alawutoon ñu use seen school yi duñ mun a am a display center te it would have been more disaster. Because time boobu none of these government agencies came forward to be part of us and dimbale ñu si lu ñoo def. Waaye si biir loolu tamit I believe that it is also a learning point for all of us pour ñu make sure ne tamit we prepare ourselves better. Loolu tam ma ne immediately lii suñ si jógee duñ waste spend time then am pour talk
ak waaw yéen stakeholders yi
ba pare teg si tamit dama gërëm waa Banjul tamit because waa Banjul dañ jóg lu tax ma ne waa Banjul tey organisation bu ñoo oyee Banjul Paddle it's a charity organisation boo xam ne mu ngi Banjul dañ jóg ñu ñëw ñu understand ne am na ñoo xam ne ñu ngi fa te at the beginning it was like 200 people léegi is more than that because nit yi luñ def mooy ban leen demee seen kër yi that is during on Sunday dañ dem seen kër yi ñu woon leen ne lii moo nekk situation bi waaye léegi dañ leen bugg a évacuer yóbbu leen si display center bi ngeen nekkangu fa ba ndox bi dem some of them xam nga neexut some of them they resisted because xamuñ ko and ñu ngi laa wax ñu ngi nekkoon si situation boo xam ne because amuñ sa fu ñoo dem but am na ñoo xam ne fanaan leen si ndox bi i fan balaa ñoo ñëw because lu leen gën a move sax luñ realize mooy bala ndox bi starté di get contaminated comme ni ko Mr. Njie waxee ndoxi kama bi ak ndoxi taw bi gars yi mënuñ koo bear that is why they started coming waaye am na ñu bari mënuñ woon a ñëw because we had issues when it comes to privacy pour wax la dëgg rek because it was a school a hall that was prepared yaa ngi understand and we tried by all means pour make sure ne ñoom ñëpp at least su fekkee ne sane du 50% du lifin 100% sax at least 50% of some of their basic needs you guys soxla si camp bi ñu jox leen ko te alhamdulillah.
waaye léegi ku leen bugg a dimbale naka la moom la defee because I know ne resources limit na te nit ñi bari nañ ñu ngi si school bi ba tey anybody philanthropist ñuy seetaan suñ buggee help pour ñëw foofu noonu what should they do how do they try to reach out to you guys.
not to be honest ñun luñ lay def mooy ñun ñu ngi si school bi every time comme lu ma wax rek
right?
waa St. Augustine.
Okay.
da ngaa gis ne comme like Red Cross ñum fa and even the councillor for Kampama Ward that is been to SM Jaite. man tamit dama fa lay nekka but sometimes dama lay génna pour dem seet dëkk bi. naka la nekka di doxee because ñu ngi def lu bari at the same time. loo xam ne sax waruñu. waaye we think ne dañ nekk si situation boo xam ne we must try by all means to make sure that people go back to their houses. So da ngaa gis ne at the end of the day ñun luñ nekk di wax mooy ñun xam nañ ne tey ñu ngi nekk si situation boo xam ne kenn expectu ko waaye tamit yàlla def na ne parents yi ñu ngi expect ne seen doom yi dinañ dem school because parents yu fa nekk ñu bari dematuñ liggéey because psychologically dañ lay toog di xalaat because kenn expectu ko si ñoom so da nga gis ne lii tax na ba tey fu mu nekk nii ñun lu ñoo jën a wax mooy let us see how best comme ñoo xam ne seen loxo àgg nañ seen gannaaw ñu dimbale ñoo xam ne they were affected during this flash flood pour seen doom yu nekk di dem school parce que it's very important school léegi tey mu ubbi foog ñu jënd bags foog ñu jënd uniforms waaye fan lañ koo amee ba pare tamit di oj borom kër yi ñoo xam ne ñoo rent these vulnerable families su fekkee ne weer bi ak weer bu see tegu sax ñu jëm leen a baalal
déedéet wax yi du loolu de
lii tamit is important
yéen liñ war a wax waxuñ ko de du affaire school fees du affaire uniforme dafa am lu ñoo waxee liability nguur gi the government of the Gambia man waxaguma contractor bi because ñoom ñoo jox contractor bi liggéey they have what you call a principal and an agent man nguur gi mooy suma principal ñi dëkk Tobacco Road seen furniture yi yaaxu seen kër yi moldi puub bi nekk ci ndoxi mbedda yi ñëw toog seen biir néeg yi seen karo yi jóg seen baraat yi tooy néeg yi xar kan moo ko war a liggéey the principal the government of the Gambia and fii la mayor of Banjul war a jógee def a risk assessment and damage assessment and nag ñu yónnee bil nguur gi ne ko and loolu mooy mun a coob corruption ci dëkk bi gis nga ñu ne sooy def dara te dara du ci génna da ngaa gën a am fit di ko gën a def it's high time nit ñi challenge nguur gi ne suma furniture kër yaa ko yaaxa because yaa fi indi liggéeykat bu deful liggéey bu baax suma kër du daan flood mu flood so suma furniture laajuma la nga jëndal ma anything extraordinary I want a replacement same my house yaaxu bi fa am su ndox bi jógee wotoon ci mbedda bi dugal suma kër suma foundation du yaaxu that cost I'm not going to bear it and it's no même ma jekkali rek xam nga Gambian bi ñun dañ nekk loo xam ne loo ñu enu ko waaye tamit si ñàkk fayda la bokkee waxuma ak mer waxuma ak ñàkk yar waaye gis nga suñ attitude bi yàlla baax na suñ ko ceeñut ñun ñi ñoo dénka duñ ñu cëral it's time we give a bill to government and ask them because this is not a natural disaster. Natural disaster is something beyond our control and that's a force majeure and when we have a force majeure you don't ask anybody but negligence rawut fu war a am pumping machine 4 years pumping machine nekku fa negligence rawut pax boo xam ne dañ ko war a gas génnee débris bi fa nekka pour mu mun a accommoder wata mu génna gasuñ ko ñeneenti at nañ waxante dëgga contracteur bi du suñ problème ka jox contracteur bi liggéey ñun kooku lañ amal problème te kooku mooy ndeyi mbila mi mooy government of the Gambia so the damage that happened in Banjul as it relates to private property negligence is the issue and negligence must be compensated for.
Final message, Esa.
Just to add on to that, I think that's very important. To build the government for this, because when I watched the president being there, he was trying to compare. This is natural disaster. This happened in Senegal. It happened in Chad. In fact, why take an example of Chad? Chad of all countries. It happened in America. But we want to say that in America, Young Jai can correct me if I'm wrong. In America, if such happen, they will build the government. So we can build the government for this. They are responsible because it is negligence. But there's one final thing that I want to emphasize. It's very important, and I think a lot of Gambians neglect this part of it. And it's very important for the development of any country. That is research. You mentioned the Austin research that was conducted. It seems like Gambians don't attach importance to research. Research is done for people to understand the problems that they face as a country. When you understand those problems, then you can solve them. It's just like if you are sick today. You have to go, be diagnosed, then they will be able to prescribe, drugs for you. So that's how you cure. So for us, we must attach importance to research. The Austin research that was done could have been used by the government, especially when this idea of rehabilitation road project came. They could have used that to do an assessment, to understand what has happened, to understand the report very well and prepare ahead. So I think it is important from now on, like Nyang also said, the risk assessment is also important for the BCC to do. And as a parliamentarian, I hope this is something that you will push at the level of the mayor, at the city council, with the mayor to see if they can do a risk assessment. I mean, that is good for our democracy, in fact. Let them go and build the government to say, you are responsible for this. The politicians are going out there, the president is going out there telling people that this is Ndogaliyala. It's not Ndogaliyala. It's Ndogali Nit. It's not Ndogaliyala. It's
negligent.
So we must, start holding people to account for it. From the award of the contract, the National Assembly, you have a role to play in that. To the flood that happened there, still the National Assembly, the Banjul City Council, they have a role to play in that, to make sure that people are punished for doing the wrong thing in the country.
Madam Touré, bala nga ñëw rek lu may wax rek mooy dama agree ak Mr Ndiaye bu baax a baax parce que foofu bokk na si lu ma loon ñëw pour teg parce que tey the main stakeholder bu jëna responsible li mooy government. They must see to it. And it's good ne tamit ne he mentioned it. Yeah. The office of the mayor of Banjul. Muna mo def this assessment. Yeah. You understand? Pour ñu am clear data bo xamne dañoo def comme like all the necessary things yoo xam ne it has to do with bagage yu gaay yaaxule. You build government bi. Yeah. It's important. Wow. Because lu mu wax make na sense. Waruñ fu mu nekk nii Gambia bi la fa tollu foo xam ne waruñoo dem. di bàyyi mbir muy dem. comme nuñ ko lay waxee rek maslaha syndrome bi. ba pare teg si tamit waa amoon na fii nañ ko yërëm. because lii foog mu war a nekk an example. to whatever is coming in the future. so loolu tax la fa important even sax man lu may ñaan mayor bi mooy. right now nii mu préparé boppam ak teamam nga xam ne balaa round table di am sax pour see how to better plan the city lii mu tegu si kaw table bi because these are things that are very urgent because to be honest nit yi ñàkk nañ seen properties daanaka ñu bëri ñàkk nañ sax seen néeg am na ñoo xam ne sax ñu ngi laa wax ne nii ne maa ngee dem du ma ñëwaat because of condition bu gaay bàyyee seen néeg yi te néeg yu xar sax gis nañ ko fa te néeg yoo xam ne ndoxi puub bi ak ndoxi taw bi mu ngi fa du jee lii yëpp gis nañ ko fa so lii nekk na loo xam ne daal ne wax dëgg neex yàlla government bi war nañ see def seen kéemtulaay kattan xam ne tamit ne nit yi ñoo leen fa teg waaw
di la gërëm bu baax honorable ak sa busy schedule bi yëpp si li ngeen a dunda waaye make na time pour ñëw fii di la gërëm I think man what stood out for me maa ngi gis benn picture of a young guy who was trying to rescue his television set from the floods. Xam nga, you know.
About that television set.
Yeah, xam nga yooyu noonu. So some of those pictures are remarkable. You know, meeting na, you know, waaye ñu ngi ñaan rek health officials itam comme ni nga ko waxee yaa ngi si health committee bi National Assembly pour ngeen task tam health officials yi ñu seet bi ko façon ndox yooyu noonu ooru te mun na indi feebar bu nekk obviously with a fragile health system bi ñu am ni already mënuñoo teg leneen si loolu waaye di la gërëm bu baax a baax ñu njaay foo tijjee
Fatou man for the past 2-3 months benn wax rek laa dee wax te dinaa continuer di ko wax man maay nguur su ma amut nguur amut yow yaay nguur soo amut nguur amut waaye dama dee wax ne ñaari yëf lañ dee tabee nguur mu neex nit ñi ñu dem rang ci élection ñu saani karta te ñun ñëpp suñ amee li ñu gënal loolu mooy nekk yoon bi nguur di installé file abadan waaye nag there is what you call people power and angale bi mu ne when hospitality fails only brutality prevails puusante nag si mbaraaj laa em nit dafa jël dafa contain waaye dafa toolu to a tipping point te bu tooloo tipping point emotions overrides rationality President Barrow dama ko ñaax dama ko ñaan bugga naa mu jeexal taamam ak jaama ak wér ak dal ak success waaye nag yàlla yàgga béy sa tool des na ndax moom pere naa béy toolam bi lan mooy loolu dëkk bi dafa métti fu mu nekk part of it is a global phenomenon we all know it global inflation global logistics problem waaye am na boo xam ne it's under our control and purview mooy corruption bi ci dëkk bi dafa bari youth unemployment bi dafa bari substance abuse dafa bari crime and lii yëpp is failure of service delivery and failure of meeting the expectations of your polity. Therefore, Mr. President, a word to the wise is enough. Gis nañ li xew Sierra Leone neexuñu te bëgguñ ko fi waaye lan mooy mun a avaat lii ngay dégg suñ dee yi lan mooy dee li ñoo wax ci suuf te waxuñ ko ci kaw ku la ne réew mi neex na nax na la Oussa waxoon na ko Abdou Diouf Baro réew mi neexut te su réew neexut da ngaa seet naka ngaa joxe sa citizens a soft landing in a hard time jërëjëf.
Thank you very much, Nyanjai, Honorable Emelba. Thank you, Esa. Thank you very much. Show bi neex na am na solo. Waaye comme ni ma ko waxee rek, if you want to support the disaster affected victims in Banjul, mun ngaa dem Banjul si school bi, but you can also contact Honorable, you know, he's on Facebook, send him a message on Honorable Modou Lamin of Banjul North. He should be able to, or any of the elected officials in Banjul, or the office of the mayor. These people need your support. Yeah. They need your support. My team have been throughout the under mayor be. So it's very sad. That's why today I wanted to have this show, because gis nañ lu fa xew and it's really sad, but you guys are doing an amazing job and we want to thank you for that. Waaye di wax Oli happy birthday in advance Nyanjai sa jabar di gërëm bu baax a baax Abdourahmane Souare, thank you for sending us stars. I want to thank all of you for sending us stars. Nyanjai, Bais Fall, we want to say thank you. Alaji Omar Minte, thank you very much. And all of you that are watching, we want to thank you for sending us stars. We would thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this show. It is our role to bring things like this on the public fora and also to have government officials here to answer to these calls. And that we did. We invited the Ministry of Works. Ibrahim definitely wanted to come. But he was called to a meeting. He agreed and he was called to a meeting at State House. So he asked Sankare and his team to send somebody. Sankano was going to come. Last minute he said he was also stuck in, but we hope we're able to get them soon to bring clarifications on this issue, because it's important for government to bring clarification on this. But we want to thank you all. Thank you very much, Nyanjai. Thank you, Esa. Thank you, Honorable and the technical team. Good night to you all. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Better and stronger as the sole ground operator at the Banjul International Airport. With an expansion in travel services, customers are assured of GIA's capacity to cater for all their travel needs, provided by professional, experienced, and ever-smiling staff. GIA's Hajj package and services, by far the best in the country, give the customers the opportunity for a memorable Hajj experience. For a more efficient cargo services, GIA means business as it launches its new multi-million-dollar ultra-modern cargo complex to revitalize and stimulate air transport. GIA, the pride of the Gambia.
Every day is a new opportunity to make sure our first impressions are always our best and to see possibilities on the horizon. To make our facilities and services more accessible and find freedom all around us. With a location proximity to active markets, with a liberal air transportation policy. That daily pursuit is how we turn everyday opportunities for you. For all destination marketing support, customized packages for new existing airlines and operators, and for a highly ranked tourist destination, the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority is here to serve. We regulate air transport, operate and manage BIA technical requirements, merged with commercial considerations. We have experienced and well-trained aviation professionals to cater for your needs. For investment opportunities in building airport hotels, shopping malls, playground for children, do contact us on 4472-831, 4472-893. Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. We go beyond daily.